Welcome to The Pleasure Priority with me, your host, Amber Taylor. This is the podcast focused on putting you first because let's be real, sis, settling just ain't it. So every episode, we're exploring your relationships, aka the ways in which you relate to everything around you so that you can improve your quality of life. Whether it's your relationship with yourself, your family, your friends, a partner, your job, or even how you relate to money, time, your body, whatever. We're diving deep into how you can curate your relationships to get the most joy and fulfillment from life without compromise. So, to my friends ready to prioritize your pleasure and never settle again, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hey friends. Today we are talking all about masking. What is it, how it shows up, and what you can do about it. So first, of course, I love to start with the definition, but I wanted to juxtapose the difference between masking and code switching because this is something that I used to think was like the same thing, but now I actually think there's a slight difference to them. So I wanted to start with that. But honestly, at the core of it, they're both an effect of trauma, aka a trauma response, and a way to meet survival needs. Though in both, the ultimate goal is assimilation, or it's like the ability to blend in because constantly being othered is dangerous and taxing in and of itself. But masking is the act of concealing neurodivergent traits to appear neurotypical or to blend into the environment around them. And it goes even past neurodivergent traits because so many of us don't even know what neurodivergent traits are. We're just really hiding parts of ourselves and pushing down the things that we think make us, quote unquote, less palatable to the masses. Whereas code switching is when someone switches between two or more languages or variety of languages in conversation to fit in environments to avoid stereotypes. So it's mostly revolving around languages. However, it can extend into behaviors, and then that's where masking starts to come in. But code switching is more about assimilating to the environment that you're in for more efficient communication. So, in all honesty, it can be more beneficial than harmful in a lot of situations because remember, it is a survival technique. So, thinking about how you pick up the phone and talk to your best friends versus how you talk at work, or how you talk to a group of kids versus how you talk to a group of seniors. Sometimes it's super beneficial to change how we speak or the words that we use to be better understood in different circumstances. However, as we know, too much of anything can become a bad thing. And again, that's where masking comes in. And then masking as a member of the band, and remember, these are Black and neurodivergent individuals. But masking as a member of a band is especially nefarious because it uses social oppression to normalize all other forms of oppression and then shifts our focus to trying to navigate social norms versus attacking systemic issues. So then we start looking at ourselves as the problem and then policing ourselves and forcing ourselves to adapt to situations that are actually designed to hinder us. Like, such nasty work, right? But think about it, social oppression kind of just takes on all the ideas of oppressive systems and normalizes them through mostly accepted or mainstream social ideals. So when it comes to race, think stereotypes and how we treat people differently based on the stereotypes associated with the color of their skin or with their ethnicity. Social oppression brings in racism, sexism, religious persecution, economic persecution, sexual orientation persecution. Like, it's the normalization of treating people less than based on their differentiating features. And it's reinforced by the social norms, institutional biases, interpersonal relationships, and individual and group beliefs. So then when we mask on top of this, this. We shift our focus from seeing the systems and the structures around us as the problem to seeing ourselves as the problem. Then we're steady focused on fixing ourselves when we're not even broken. And then we ignore, or not even ignore, but don't really have the capacity to entertain or attack these larger problems at a larger scale. So then ultimately, we start pretending like they don't exist, slash, not acknowledging their existence. So then they just continue. Unmasking not only has so many personal benefits, but it's also an act of resistance and revolution. But if you're still not convinced, let me tell you about the emotional toll of masking. It's literally the worst thing that you can do because it robs you of your opportunity to get your needs met and to get support in any situation. And then you start being in a relationship with people from a place of who you're pretending to be and not who you actually are. Spoiler alert, that's why no one really gets you. That's why it's so hard to make friends. And that's why you need to stop masking so you can be the main character instead of the NPC with a predetermined script. And this can look a lot of different ways, but it mostly looks like you lying to yourself and others. You lying about if you're okay. You're lying about how you feel. You're lying about what upsets you and what doesn't. You're lying about what you're comfortable with and what you're not. It starts with your lies, but it starts with your lies and it spirals into so much more. One, it can look like acting too laid back. So, like, this is the vibe where nothing ever really bothers you, but actually it does. You're just trying to use indifference to detract from how much you really care and being vulnerable in a given situation. But it's so damaging because, again, you don't convey your boundaries and you ultimately get frustrated and resentful when your needs go unmet. So it's really not serving you. It's just delaying the inevitable or preventing you from getting what you want. And then, secondly, we have indirect reassurance. So this is not really asking for what you want, but it's also putting yourself down unless the other person picks you up. So it's just like, oh my gosh, what do you think of me in this dress? Like, you're not asking straight up, how do you look? You're not saying, like, I would love to hear about how amazing you think I look. I think I look amazing. Don't you agree? Like, you're not being specific because you're waiting on somebody else to validate you for you to be able to validate yourself. So, like, unless they say, oh my God, that dress looks amazing on you, you're not going to think it. You're not going to think that about yourself. You're not going to boost yourself up unless anybody else does it for you, but you're not going to ask for it either. And that ultimately tanks your self esteem and makes you codependent on whoever you're in that relationship with, whoever you keep asking those questions. And thirdly, this looks like constantly staying busy, always overloading yourself so you don't spend time overthinking or allowing your mind to wander to all the places that you're scared for it to wander to. But when you keep overloading yourself and don't give yourself time to think, reflect, or process, you're really just emotionally bypassing and you are going to burn out. There is a limit to how much you can ignore yourself and your needs. And when you hit it, it's not going to be pretty. When your body stops you, you have to come to a full stop. If you don't decide to stop yourself, your body is going to stop you. And that's one of the reasons that burnout exists. Because if you don't take care of yourself, your body's going to take care of you. And it's going to do that in the most inconvenient way possible because it no longer trusts you to do it by yourself. So, yeah, it's going to take you out the game. It's going to put you out of commission. It's going to make you sit down and pull back and rethink everything so you don't end up in this situation again. So, make the decision for yourself before your body makes it for you. Okay? Okay. And then, fourthly and finally, it can look like not making decisions based on fear or judgment or the potential of rejection. So that can look like Oh, I don't know what to watch. I don't have any preferences. Like, what do you want to watch? Oh, I don't know what to eat. It doesn't really matter to me. What do you want to eat? Oh, I don't really care where we live. I just want to know what you need and where we live. It looks like not sharing your wants and your needs and your desires and your opinions and all things of that nature, to the point where you start losing your identity. You start losing what makes you you. You start losing hold of what brings you joy, what your actual pleasures are. And I'm looking at you, the people who always say, I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want. I don't know what would make me happy. Yeah, it's because you've been offloading your decisions so much that you lost a sense of what you like and what you want. But don't fret, because it's not lost forever. It's a skill that you can build back, that you can learn. But in order to even begin building that skill, you have to stop doing the things that deteriorate it. So make the decisions that you need to make for you and accept the consequences that come from them. And consequences are good or bad. It's just the things that happen after a decision is made. So make your decisions considering consequences, not fearing them. And I know you're probably like, Amber, what do I do all of this? Okay, I see that I'm masking with my relationships, whether that be a friendship, a romantic partnership, a business arrangement, your family, whatever. To start unmasking, you really want to focus on creating spaces you can be your authentic self in consistently. And honestly, the biggest key to that is being honest. Plain and simple, being honest with yourself and others, especially about the little stuff. You have to quit lying so you can understand and convey what you actually want and need, and you can start getting your needs met. You want to bring up your concerns, and that's firstly most important to do with yourself. What's actually going on? What do you actually need? What are you actually worried about? What are you actually fearful of? What do you actually want? And then you have to change your behavior. You have to start acting differently and ask for what you want. And you can also ask for other people to change their behavior to accommodate you. Now, granted, it's their choice. They can either decide to accommodate or not, but if you don't give them a choice, the answer is automatically no. So by unmasking, you also get clarity on who's really for you and who's not. And in all honesty, relationships need to have a degree of reliability. That's why I put it in my Rise relationship matrix. But if you can't share your truth with someone you love, it's not reliable love. And when I say love, I don't just mean romantic, I mean platonic, familial, working, all the things. Like when you share your truth with people that you spend time with, that you care about, that you have some kind of ongoing relationship with, and they don't respect that, then they don't respect you. Like that's pertinent information for you to know. And you got to give them an opportunity to actually know and love who you really are. If you only show them the masked you, they don't know you. They don't know the real you. And again, I'm not trying to put any shame in this because we started masking as a form of survival. We were doing this to protect ourselves, but we're not in the same positions that we were then that we are now. We can afford to take the mask off in a lot of situations that we don't. And there is an element of having a temperament for rejection or just really understanding that the possibility that other people have choice too, and they get to decide if they want to continue in a relationship as well, especially after a mask comes off, because usually that means the other person is going to have to do a lot more work to exist in the relationship, because usually members of the band are not only regulating their own emotions, they're regulating the experience of other people's as well, so they don't have to do it themselves around them. And a lot of people aren't willing or able to take on that work. But that doesn't mean you have to continue to shoulder it. You're allowed to let other people carry their own load. Yours is heavy enough. But anywho, you got to remind yourself why you're a badass. You have to validate yourself. And you have to accept that everyone has different ways of existing in the world, including you. And to be accepted, you also have to accept others. Now, reminder, acceptance does not mean you have to condone everything. Acceptance just means that you acknowledge the reality of it. You still get to agree, disagree, or be indifferent to it, but you must first accept that it's real. And that's because acceptance is required to be given in order to be received. You also want to practice building the skill of safety. It is something that you take into consideration in building out your environments, but it's also a skill that you can practice to build more safety in environments that you don't have full control over. And then finally, you want to focus on presence, being in the moment and staying focused on what is and what is right now helps you focus on what's real and helps you keep your wants and needs top of mind without so much fear of fulfilling those wants and needs. But all right, y'all, I feel like this was a super dense episode, so definitely one you should listen to again and share with your friends, use it as a resource. Do whatever you need. Because although in all of us, masking started off as a survival mechanism, after prolonged experiences, it's more harmful than helpful, and it robs us of our capacity to be exactly who we're supposed to be, which is exactly who we are. So that's my hope for you, is that you can practice unmasking and begin to live a life where you don't have to pretend to not be yourself to exist in the spaces that you need to. And I don't want y'all to forget that my books are open for one-on-one coaching, and I can help you unmask. I can help you better navigate the relationship with yourself and the world around you so you can live peacefully and authentically. So go ahead and book a consultation call. You can find the link in the show notes, and we'll discuss your customized plan to unmask your way to your freedom. All right, y'all, that's our episode for today, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one. And as always, stay pleased. Thanks for joining me for this episode of The Pleasure Priority. I hope that when you see things can be better, you're inspired to do better. Because remember, you deserve nothing less than an abundance of joy, fulfillment, and all the peaceful good vibes. If you love this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Oh, and hey, make sure you're on my email list for more tips, laughs, story times, community, and all things pleasure. So until next time, keep living life on your terms because settling is for the birds. All right, stay pleased, my friends. I'll see you soon.